Welcome back, everybody. What's going on today? Well, what's going on today is we're going to be doing a little bit of cleaning up, trying to get all of the dirt and pebbles and whatnot off the concrete so that we can take this beast here and put it in here. That's the goal for today. Let's see how it works. I do want to get this out because it's going to be replaced with a vintage air unit eventually. I'm going to get this thing running and on the road first. So it's probably going to be a little bit of cardboard or something over there for a while. So in order for the lift to move smoother, I want to make sure and get all the dirt and stuff off the floor here. We've been gathering parts up. I had this water pump that I ordered and it was the wrong one. They sent me one for an LS and I have no idea why they would have done that, but I might have made a mistake, probably. I'm gonna get this all cleaned up. We've got parts for the fuel system here, and for we've got some pipe plugs, some more pipe plugs. This is all to put the water pump in. This is for the oil sending unit. I'm thinking I'm going to put that on because it will be good enough for now. And later on I'll get a good set of gauges, and eventually what I'd like to do is get a set of proper gauges to put in the dash. So that might just be the way to go for now. Over here, fuel system, gaskets, another mounting plate for the manual fuel pump. I got another fuel rod to activate the pump, some fuel line, and I had just replaced this pump. Gosh, it's probably got an hour of runtime on it, so we're going to use that. We've got to get this battery box prepared for paint, as well as this grill support that I just got. The old battery box was rusted out and the acids had dripped down and rusted out the fender and the inner fender as well. There's the hood latch release and the power steering pump. They're getting prepped, ready to get put back on once I get the engine in. And we've got some boxes over here from Summit. I got a water pump that's the right one. Haven't opened it yet. Got some shims. This will be a lifesaver. What this is hood brace sponge cushions. So basically when it was new, it had these cushions between the hood brace and the hood skin, and that kept it from rattling, and I really wanted to put them back in. New power steering hoses from LMC. Lower radiator hose from Gates. I think that also came from LMC. And the upper radiator hose, I guess I don't have that yet. It might be in this box with the water pump. I haven't opened it yet. So let's get to it. Now that all the fun stuff is done, we've got the transmission mount, transmission seal, motor mounts, and I will get the bolts out and all prepared, and I will bolt up the motor mounts to the engine. And I don't think I'm going to put the water pump or starter on until I've actually got this in the truck, because since everything is out, I have the room to work, so it shouldn't be a problem bolting all the external parts on. So in order to save weight, and since I'm using, I'll show you what I'm using to lift with, this plate. Now, it says on the plate to don't worry, it will lift over 1,000 pounds even with an aluminum manifold. Really? Okay, well, we'll give it a try. I've seen people do it. It just makes me a little bit nervous. And if I try and go around with the other chains that I have and pull the carb off so I don't ruin it, I'm afraid of messing up the valve covers. I don't really want to pull the valve covers, although it's not a big deal. We'll just go this route and see how it goes, and then I've got to figure out the plumbing for the heater. I don't know if I can leave the heater core in with part of what I want to take out. I understand that this, and having taken the inner fenders out, I realize this would be very difficult to take out with the inner fenders still in, and it is still part of this. The heater core in here is, the plumbing is separate. I don't know. I'm going to have to take it apart and figure it out, basically. So that's what we'll do. That might be something I'll do before I start to lift the engine up. What I have to do is unbolt the mounts from the crate. Finally, after a year and a half, unbolt those mounts, get it lifted up over to here, where I'm going to put the flex plate on, marry the transmission to it, and then slide the unit in. I do have a new radiator over here, so I think that's going to be all aluminum, and I'm going to take that out and paint it so that it looks black from the front. I don't want the aluminum showing through. I don't care for that look. I'd like the black. I will leave the top reservoir aluminum and maybe the side of it aluminum. I'm not sure. I'll take it out, take a look, see what it looks like. So that's what we're going to do. I'm just going to prepare, and I'll bring you guys back once we're ready to start lifting. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hey, like and subscribe if you would. I appreciate that. And thank you to all the new followers and subscribers. I really appreciate it. Makes a big difference. Keeps me motivated for sure. And like I said, I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. We'll be back. So here's where we are at this point. I got it out of the rack, the shipping crate. Those are the transmission lines. And this is the new transmission that's going in. That's a JEGS rebuild. Performance transmission, manual shift, automatic, 3-speed, rated up to 500 horsepower, I believe. And this is the new flywheel that I just took out of the box. They gave instructions on how to make sure it's in the right spot and to tap it on. Didn't need to tap it on, it just slipped right on. It does appear that it is in there correctly. So what I will do now, I've got these ARP flywheel bolts and the never come off juice that goes on the bolts. And I will look up the torque spec before I start doing that. And then I will bolt this thing in. And then I will try and, well, no, I'm not going to try. I'm going to marry it to the transmission once I get the torque converter filled with at least a quart of transmission fluid, the JEGS transmission fluid that came with, well, it didn't come with it. I bought it with the transmission. And just lube everything up at the end, lube the seal with a little dab of transmission fluid, lube the torque converter shaft with a little dab of transmission fluid. I need to put the motor mounts on, and then I think we're ready to lift it in to there. All right, we'll be back in a few minutes. I'll just go over some of this simple stuff real quick, and I'll come back. All right, a little update as we progress slowly but surely. The motor mounts are on the engine. So I guess they'd be engine mounts, unless you want to call it a motor, and then they're motor mounts. And we can start that whole motor engine debate if you'd like. Anyway, so here's what I've got done to this point. Properly installed the flex plate. Now, I bought a flex plate. It was for a one-piece seal, or I'm sorry, a two-piece seal. Knowing that when I was kind of organizing stuff and getting ready to go in, I said, oh, I have a one-piece seal. I better order the correct flex plate. So I did that. Then I looked at the bolts, the fasteners, and it says for GM two-piece. Oh, okay, great. Let me order the one-piece fasteners. So I did. Well, they have a different thread pitch than the bolts that are required for this. I had the ones I took out, and I can just put them in finger tight, no problem. And then I had this package for the ones that are in here for the two-piece rear main seal. So I called Blueprint. I said, what do I do? Do I use the old bolts? Can I use the new bolts? I certainly can't use the one with the wrong thread pitch. They said, yeah, go ahead and use the ones you got there. So I used the brand new ARP bolts. I think they're supposed to be just a touch longer, but these will work. They've been properly torqued to 65 foot-pounds or pound-feet. Torque converter is here. Transmission is there. The two shall go together next. And I do not have the bolts. I do not have new bolts to attach the torque converter, and I don't want to use old ones. So I have just ordered new ones. They will be here probably in 3 or 4 days. In the meantime, I can marry the two together and get it put in. That's what you're supposed to do anyway. And then once I get it all set in there, I will take the measurements and make sure that I have the correct distance between the torque converter and the flex plate. I think it's, what is it? Between 1/8 and 1/16. I'll have to double check that. I have the paperwork. And, you know, the bolt kit comes with spacers. So if I need to use some spacers, I can do that. But it's just a matter of getting it in the truck for right now, because once it's in, I can start putting stuff together. I can put oil in it, and the oil filter, and the water pump, and fuel pump, and then start putting the core support back in and running all the wiring. I'm going to use the old wiring for right now because it's good enough for now. I've got brand new power steering hoses. Those are going to go in, but I don't want to take that off, the old ones off yet, because it'll probably leak out a little bit, and I want to be able to slap the new one in there quick enough. Anyway, so that's where we are. At least the engine is out of the box, and we're getting closer to getting it put together. I'm just hoping that this flex plate is the right one, since the bolts that I got with it were not the right ones. We'll see. I put the torque converter up to it, and yeah, there's the bolt pattern fits. It looks to have, you know, the right pattern, and there's no binding up against the fasteners or anything like that. So I'll put it together and see what's going on. All right, we'll be back.